Okay, I'm just going to show you guys how to remove a crank arm off an exercise bike. There seems to be a bit of confusion as to how to correctly do it without stripping the thread, so I'm going to show you how to do that and to avoid stripping the threads. You need the standard crank arm extraction tool, which is this one, or one that looks similar. This does 80–90% of the jobs that we always do. And the first thing is to obviously remove the nut or the bolt. This one's got a bolt on it. So take that out first. Just like that. And sometimes the thread here that the tool goes into is corroded. If that's the case, just a little bit of Gibbs on it. It will just make life easier for getting the tool in. And the trick with the tool is to make sure that this silver bit is fully retracted. What you don't want to do is have the centre stud interfering during the process of screwing the black bit in. And that's important because you want this black part to be fully engaged in the thread as far as it will go. So the way that I do that is I tighten it up using my adjustable spanner or a ring spanner or whatever. And when you think you've got it as far as it will go, just relieve that, unscrew that centre bit, just to make sure that you're not bottomed out on the stud. Because if you are, you won't have the black thread fully engaged here. And you see I was then, so I've got a few more turns now on this, and I'm just going to do it right up because I want to make sure that I'm fully on. Again, check my centre piece, which is loose, so I know that I'm not engaged on that, which is great. That's as far as it will go, and to make life easier to extract the tool when I've got the pedal off, I'm just going to knock it back a quarter of a turn. That will do. So there's quite a lot of force there I did to do it up, and when the pedal arm's off, it's very difficult to get your tool off. So just loosen it off ever so slightly before you extract the pedal arm, and I find that's a big help. And then you can just turn the centre bit like this until it engages on the stud in the centre. Now, if necessary, depending on what your tool that you're using and the arrangement of the bike, it might be that you choose to put a stud into that just to protect the thread, because there is a risk that the shaft on the end of this silver part can go down and start to damage the thread that the bolt goes into. It's not so much of an issue if you've got a nut, but if there's a bolt, there is a possibility you can damage the thread, which means when you go to reassemble it, that this locking nut doesn't go back in. If you're worried about that, just get any old bolt really, as long as it's small enough. It doesn't have to have the right thread. You can just slot it straight in there, and then you'll be pushing against the head of the nut there, the bolt rather there, and that will help protect the thread. Otherwise, you need to use an M8 by 1mm pitch tap if you do damage the thread, just to recut that thread if it's a problem. Usually it takes quite a bit of force to get it off, but you can feel it should always be a progressive movement. If you feel that it bottoms out on a shoulder and it doesn't want to move anymore, then stop and take the tool off and have a look at what's going on. But you should find that it's quite easy to do, and then when that's off, because you've relieved it, it's relatively easy then just to, there we are, just go and do that, then your tool's off. So Al, if you can just come in and zoom in on here, I'll just show you what I'm talking about. This is the bolt. You can see here where the original nut would go into that hole there. And if my tool, the end of my tool goes into that and damages the end, it means that the bolt might have a tendency not to go in. See, on this one it's fine. But if you're at all worried about it, just get a bolt before you put your tool on, slide a bolt through like that. And then you can push off against the head of that, and then that's not going to cause any problem at all to the thread. Otherwise, as I say, you'd need to retap that with an M8 by 1mm fine thread tap. Okay, so that's it really. Pretty straightforward, but just a couple of tricks there. Make sure your tool is fully engaged.
Fully disengaged.
Fully disengaged. well, the black bit needs to be fully engaged in your pedal, into there, and you need to check it by unscrewing the silver part before you attempt to get the pedal off. And that's it really. Okay.